Alright, to address these next few, rather than solving those, I'm going to give you a couple examples, and you should certainly be able to solve them with a couple examples. And the first is just reading the inequality sign. By the way, this is an equal sign, this is an inequality sign, and it can be turned in either direction. So let's see a couple examples. Alright, actually I think I'm just going to slide that up out of our way. Okay. This would be read 5 is greater than 3. You could also have, I think I'll go over here, 3 is less than 5. So these are both saying the same thing. If these were negative values, you have to be ready to flip that sign. So if I had a negative 5 versus a negative 3, a negative 5 is less than negative 3. And you might think you'd rather be $3 in the hole than $5 in the hole. But anyway, negative 3 is greater than negative 5. It could be read that way as well. And here, if we had this written, you would have to say negative 3 is greater than negative 5. Okay, hopefully that's enough to get you through those. Down here with the absolute value signs, and again, these vertical bars mean absolute value. Alright, so right here you have absolute value. I wish this software made them a little more pronounced, but you're just going to have to get used to reading them. And I need to make a point here. I'm going to do a similar one, so I'm not going to solve these exactly. But if you had, let's say, let's have a negative 12, and we're trying to compare that to negative absolute value of negative 12. By the way, they would, in math jargon, this is the opposite of negative 12, but I'd just rather read it as two negatives sitting in front of a number. So I'm going to use my rules for multiplication, clean it up. Negative times negative is positive. So the 12 just drops down. But over here, I can't just combine these two signs using the rules of multiplication. Okay? This absolute value is a grouping symbol, but it also tells you to say what the distance from 0 for this number inside. So what I encourage you to do is just think of the absolute value sign as a brick wall. Nothing gets through there. The absolute value of negative 12, that's what's right here. The absolute value of negative 12 is 12. All right. This negative sign hasn't been used yet, so it drops down, and a positive 12 is greater than negative 12. Okay, so that's how that answer would go. And let's see, I think we can do a couple of these, evaluate the expression for given replacement values. What I encourage you to do is, if you're plugging in a positive value, it's not so critical. You just have to maintain the operation. This is 2 times x, okay? But if you're plugging in a negative value, it's very important to have a set of parentheses where the variable is. So I'm going to put parentheses where each variable is. This negative sign is right there, and this 2 is sitting right there. Okay, I've preserved the meaning because this is 2 times x, and this is 2 times whatever I put inside the parentheses. All right, and they've told us, see if I can straighten any of this out, that x is a 3, so I'll plug in a 3 right where the x was. All right, notice there's no more variable here because I put a 3 in for the x. And then they tell us that y is -4. So right where the y was sitting, I put in a -4. Okay? And now, well, that's kind of small, isn't it? Well, sorry about that. Maybe I'll try zooming in. And let's see if we're focused right. All right, we'll call that correct. And now, there's no more variables. You're just going to solve this according to the order of operations. Remember, that never goes away. Here you have multiplication, and over here is going to be addition or subtraction. Okay, so 2 times 3 yields a 6, and I don't like 2 signs in front of a number. So using my rules for multiplication, I'm going to clean that up. Negative times negative is a positive. I bring down whatever I haven't touched. That's the 4. And now the signs are the same. I add and keep the sign. Okay? And we can look at another one for evaluating expression. We'll take a look at number 46. And we have 6 minus z squared. And let's see, our z value over here is going to be a -4, so I'm going to be real careful to use parentheses for that, and I'll bring down everything else. Okay, this negative sign is right here. All right, this squared is going to sit right up there. And now they tell me that z is -4, so I put my -4 inside the parentheses. And remember, the exponent only applies to the very first thing it touches. So this means we have, I'll do my calculation off to the side, we have 2 sets of parentheses with -4 inside each one. And -4 times -4 is a positive 16. And now I'm going to put this 16 right underneath here. Okay, so there's my 16, and I'll bring down whatever I haven't touched. I haven't touched that negative or the 6. Okay, now the signs are different. I'm going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger. So my answer is -10. And yeah, we'll go ahead and combine like terms. Well, actually, I think I'll do this on the very next one, and we'll talk about doing algebra.